So yesterday, Keyshawn comes on with the aforementioned Stacy, and who's with Bump, of course. And he's definitely a Geno fan.
Don't let the Brock Purdy experiment cloud your mind. You can't do that. Look, you pay that dude, okay? And if you think that, and you said it, Seattle drafted bad. So don't get caught up in, they gave all the money to Russell Wilson. That's a lie. That is such a lie. They could pay who they want to pay when they want to pay him. The Rams sure did it. They won the Super Bowl, okay? That drives me crazy when I hear people, oh, they don't have any money. No, they have money. It's do they want to spend the money? Sharpen your pencils and figure out how to make it fit under a $225 million cap. How about that? And if not, find a new capologist that knows how to manipulate the salary cap.
Move that salary cap.
So he says, don't pay any attention to the salary cap. It's all meaningless. He goes on from there.
Yes, he can, and you pay him the money. You may not pay him $50 million a year, but you reward him. And Geno Smith is better than any quarterback you're gonna get in college right now. Anyway, he's better than Bryce Young. He's better than C.J. Stroud. He's better than this Levitt dude that everybody from Kentucky that they just they want to make him the next coming of whatever.
For real.
He's better than him. He's better than Bryce Young. I mean, he's just better than Cooker. He's just seasoned. He's better than those guys right now. So I didn't say don't draft a quarterback. What I'm saying is he's your guy for the next 2 to 3 years while that guy gets ready to take over if Geno falters.
I don't have any cute line to this, but one thing I do love that you will say, especially during baseball season, and that is manage like a fan and you'll be a fan. Mm-hmm. And I don't have as cute a pun or a play of words
I know
as well.
Right where you're going with it, though.
But if your organization is about rewarding, you will be losing.
Yeah, it's essentially what you're saying is think like a player and you're going to end up a fan, right? Like you can't as a GM take a player's point of view on how to run a team.
But you also just can't reward and reward and reward and reward.
Well, that's
it's not about rewarding.
Saying the same thing.
It is about, okay, can this guy then earn what's coming his way?
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the first one, Maura and Justin years ago, gosh, I wish we would have video and sound of this. We would be so young. And we would not have to wear our glasses and everything else when we did our demo like 15 years ago. And we came in, and Salk and I were in that backup studio over there, and we did a demo. And one of your great takes was talking about, I think, Ken Griffey Jr. at that time. And it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, you just can't manage an organization. You can't run an organization in the rearview mirror, like looking back on everything that he's done. It's about what he can do moving ahead. It's always ahead. It's always moving ahead. Geno's got 3 more great years of football. Mm-hmm. I think he can replicate a lot of what he did. I think that accuracy is real. I think his anticipation is real. I think there's some decision making, certainly in the sack world and ball security that can improve and will have to improve if they're going to go deeper in playoffs. And I do want to see him he's earned the next contract. Mm. But to sit and say, oh, reward it, and you can pay everybody, that's not the way it works. That isn't the way it works, Keyshawn. And that did do the Seahawks in when they paid Cam and Earl and Sherman.
Because eventually
and
that
Bobby
bill comes due.
Because eventually you pay your O-line nothing. Eventually you have to sacrifice somewhere. Eventually you have to turn D lineman to O lineman. Mm-hmm. Eventually you will have a hole, right? It's just that's the reality of the cap, and it's what makes it level. And the New York Giants can go from out of the playoffs to the playoffs, and the Jags can go from the worst to the first in their division in the second round of the
Eagles
playoffs.
Can go from 4 wins to the Super Bowl in 2 years. I mean, that's
the Bengals and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, it is. I disagree with him on that. I understand that you can manipulate the cap for a little while, and there are things you can do, but that bill eventually comes due. It's like your friend who is just constantly eating out and constantly paying for everything, and they don't make that much money, and they're living off credit card debt, and eventually, like, you can dodge it for a while, but if you don't make the money, it's going to come due.
Yes.
So here's a little bit more from Keyshawn, who does have a number in mind for Geno.
I probably would pay him $35 million. Just because it's 32, you got to go over the tag. Mm-hmm. You always got to go over the tag. Remember that. So an average of $35 million a year. 3 years, what would that give you? $105 million? So there you go. You give him a 3-year, 105. You give him about 60 of it fully guaranteed, 60 to 70 of it fully guaranteed, and we're going to keep it moving.
All right, first of all, props to Keyshawn. He just did radio math quickly and accurately. How about that? Huge mistake.
Way to go.
Right?
University of Spoiled Children. Way to nail it.
Never want to do radio math, and he just nailed 35 times 3. So that was very, very impressive.
You always go over the cap.
I love that. That guy's a riot, man. He really is funny. He's got a funny way of speaking.
Why do you got to always go over?
Well, because he's a player, and he's always going to have that point of view. I understand where he's coming from, and that is a player's point of view, 100% of it, and I'm glad he's there to give that perspective. But right now, people seem to be lining up on all sides of this to say that somewhere in that range is what Geno is going to get and what he deserves. Right? I mean, the dream of a $20 to $25 million deal seems done. Geno maybe wanting 40 is probably unrealistic, and somewhere in that 30 to 35 range sure seems to be where people are lining up.
And they got money for that. They got absolute budget for that. They don't have Cam and Earl and Sherm and Russ and Doug and. I know, but I want them to have all that. They've got DK and Jamal and Tyler and Quandre. None of those, other than Jamal, making it the very, very top of the market. So they don't have all those ands. They do have zeros they can write. They can write cash on hand signing bonus to wiggle that money around and make sure that $36 million they have in cap space now, they still have enough of it to fill some significant voids elsewhere.